Lakota language is good day. I greet you with a heartfelt handshake. My Lakota name is Wichach Bitumpiwi, which means woman who is born from the stars. My English name, like my husband said, is Jessie Alive Rencounter. I'm a Hunkpapa Lakota, which is one of the 7 bands of Lakota people. Many of you may have heard of the name Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull is a pretty well-known Lakota leader, specifically for our Hunkpapa band of people many years ago. Today, our Hunkpapa people live up on the southern side of the the Standing Rock Reservation, north central South Dakota. I grew up there in a reservation all my life. I was blessed to have teachings and values passed down to me from my parents and my grandparents, but also was blessed to grow up around our beautiful ceremonies. When I was a young girl, my late grandfather, Peter Taken Alive, he shared with me about the importance of having a college education today as Lakota people in our society. And he actually set a great example by becoming one of the very first K-8 educators here in South Dakota that was Native American. I took his advice. Thank you. I took his advice and I went off to college many years ago, and I met a handsome young man there, and he's been following me around since then. But we've been married for many years. We have 4 beautiful daughters, ages 18, 12, 10, and 3. I dye my hair. But my family and I we're excited to be here today. You know, my family and I, we travel all throughout the United States and up into Canada, attending many different powwows. My daughters and I, we all dance. My husband, he sings with various drum groups. But we also have the honor to share our culture through presentations like we are today. In fact, this has taken us all over the world, including places like Italy, Switzerland, down to South America and Suriname. But my favorite place to do this is right here at home in these beautiful Black Hills. For centuries, our Lakota people, we've called the Black Hills the heart of everything that is. Now, there's different groups of people around the world that say there's important parts of Mother Earth that benefit everybody, no matter where you live. For example, the indigenous people down in the Amazon, they say that the Amazon rainforest, that those are the lungs of our Mother Earth, and that they help everybody, no matter where we live. Science now backs that up. Here in the Black Hills, for Lakota people, we see that the Black Hills, that this is the heart of our Mother Earth, and that it plays an important role. Interestingly enough, we can take modern day technology, like a satellite image or an aerial picture of the Black Hills, and when we take a look at it, we can see that it's in the shape of a human heart. Not Valentine Cupid heart, but the human heart. Now, if we take pictures all throughout the 4 seasons and we play it like a video, it looks like this heart is beating. And so it's just a reminder that this Black Hills is very much alive, is very special and important. Now, we have 7 sacred areas here in the Black Hills. Just to the south of us is a place today that is now called Wind Cave. It's now a National Park Service area. Modern day cave explorers have explored about 150 miles of this cave, and they cannot seem to find an end to this cave. As Lakota people, we say, you know, they probably never will find an end to this cave because of the story behind this area. You know, like other cultures and groups around the world, we too as Lakota people, we have our own creation story of how our people came to be. You know, the shortened version of this story says that many years ago, our Lakota people, that we once lived way inside Mother Earth, and that 4 Lakota couples emerged out through this cave. When they got out here, they realized how different it was. They could not find their people, and so they were forced to live out here. It was so different. They lived a very pitiful, difficult way of life. Lucky for them, somebody came along and they took pity on them and they said, you know what? We will take care of you. Our people will provide you food, clothing, and shelter. And so from that day, we took them as our relatives. Still to this day, we call them our big brothers and our big sisters. And who I'm referring to is the Buffalo Nation. For centuries upon centuries, our people were able to live an abundant type of lifestyle off of the buffalo in the Northern Plains area here. We went from having millions of buffalo down to having less than 1,000 buffalo. And around this time was the early reservation days. And so our people could not follow the buffalo anymore, and again went through a drastic change of life. They didn't know how to survive without our relatives, the buffalo. There was a prophecy made around this time that was meant to give hope. to our people back then. And they said, in 7 generations, our Lakota way of life will come back to us. Not necessarily hunting the buffalo or living in the teepees, but our culture, our ceremonies, our language. What a lot of people don't know, and it's not because you just don't care, it's just because it's not in our history books and it's not taught in our education and our schools here in America, is that around this time, it was illegal and it was banned for our people to practice their beautiful ancient ceremonies. Ceremonies that only brought goodness, health, wellness, helped us with transition through life. Around this time, our children were taken as well and stripped of their identity, their culture, their language, and told not to speak their language. It was not until 1978 when the American Indian Religious Freedom Act was passed, making it legal again for us to practice these beautiful ceremonies. The awesome thing about 2019 today is that we are now amongst the 7th generation from when this prophecy was made. And we see this prophecy coming to fruition. It's an exciting time amongst Lakota country today to see our language coming back from people of all different ages and people who are not even Lakota learning our language. In fact, back home on my reservation, we have a preschool, a Lakota language immersion school where we have 3 to 5-year-old children learning preschool stuff that other preschoolers are learning in the nation, but it's being taught in our Lakota language. We have people, nice, thank you. We have people of all ages flocking back to our beautiful ceremonies, wanting to learn about the significance, the protocol, and to participate in these ceremonies. And so we see these ceremonies very live and well today. In fact, any time of the year, there's a ceremony in Lakota country going on, especially in the summertime. And so this is helping with their healing. We still have a long ways to go yet, but these ceremonies that are now coming back, they're exciting for people to have these, to aid us in that healing. How many of you guys ever attended a powwow or maybe even heard of powwows? Awesome. So powwows, what a lot of people may not know is that these are not our ceremonies, that these are actually our social gatherings. And you don't have to be a dancer to attend a powwow. You don't even have to be Native American to attend a powwow. Everybody's welcome. This is where we dance, we have fun, we make new friends. Most powwows today are now competitive, so we compete against other dancers based on our age category as well as our dance category. You can think of powwows as like big sporting events. And there's competition, so we compete and we dance for prize money. And at some of the bigger powwows now today, we even compete and dance for brand new cars and vacation packages. So they have really evolved and come a long way. But depending on, if you're a male or female, for us females, we have 3 main categories that we can choose from that we dance in. And we usually end up falling in love with that dance style, and we keep that dance style for many, many years, if not throughout our whole life. The 3 main styles is the first one is the traditional dance. Depending on which tribe you come from, this might be danced a little bit different, as well as your dress may look a little bit different. For us Lakota women, we wear a long buckskin with long buckskin fringe hanging down from the arms. All across the top is beaded, beautiful, intricate designs that tell stories or a history. And we simply stand in a stationary position and we move up and down gracefully to the beat of the drum. Now, don't let that fool you into thinking it's an easy dance though, because with these buckskins on and the beadwork on top, when you have everything on, you have an additional 70 to 100 pounds on you, and you're dancing on a hot summer day, you get a pretty good workout. The second style of dance was the fancy shawl that my daughter shared with you today. It's a popular dance amongst the young girls, but for the women who dance this in our power world, we say that these are our tip-top athletes. You have to be quick and light on your feet, have a lot of stamina, and have a lot of, you can't get dizzy, basically. So that's why I dance. But my favorite style and the third style is called the jingle dress, which I'll be sharing with you today. So the jingle dress is traditionally not a Lakota style of dance. Actually, we're riding up to the north. We know that the not and it should not be able to hear them, they must be today, they should not be able to look like one in North Dakota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And there's a lot of different versions of how this dress came to their people. I like to share the version that was shared with me from my good friend who's an Ojibwe jingle dress dancer. comes from our family. So they say that many years ago, about 100 years ago, there was a little girl by the name of Maggie White. Maggie became very ill, and it was an illness that their tribe had not seen before. Nobody knew what types of natural medicines to give her. And so her grandfather, he was given a dream, and in this dream he was shown a dress. On this dress hung objects. And he was told that if his granddaughter was able to dance in this dress, that these objects that they would hit together and they would make a very beautiful sound that would bring healing to Maggie. He shared his dream, they made this dress, they took her to their Ojibwe ceremonial houses up there, and she was so ill that when she stood, they had to stand on each side of her, holding her up by her arms. When the singers started singing on their drums, they helped her dance as well. As the song progressed, Maggie became stronger, and soon she started dancing on her own. By the time that evening was done and the songs were done, they say that Maggie was healed. And so from that day, this dress has been called the medicine dress, or the healing dress. Maggie went on to live a long life, becoming a mother, grandmother, even a great-grandmother. She just recently passed away in the early 1990s. But when she was a little girl, when she was first healed, the story of this dress, this medicine dress, that spread like wildfire all across the United States and up into Canada. And many of us tribes, we all adopted it into our own culture, including us Lakota. But all of us, we use this at powwows. Now, people ask, if this is a medicine dress or healing dress, why do you wear this at your social dances to compete in? But even the Ojibwe will say, you know, it doesn't matter if you're at a powwow or at even a presentation like today. When a young girl or a woman puts on this dress and she dances, healing energy still comes from this dress. And so those of us who are honored to wear this style of dress, we make sure we remember the purpose of this dress and the origin and where it comes from. And so we carry ourselves in a good way, especially when we're dancing, we have good thoughts, because we never know who will receive that healing from this dress when we're dancing, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, or whatever it may be. And so I'm going to share this style of dance with you here in a few minutes, but before I share this with you, I always like to share briefly a little bit about why we wear what we wear, because after dancing 2 songs, I'm usually out of breath and it's hard to talk. So in my hair, I have eagle plumes, and what we say in our Lakota language is we call it the wachihi, that which is sacred. And so for Lakota people, we say that the eagles are relative who carries up our prayers to the Creator. Creator then takes those prayers, touches that eagle. And so we acknowledge that these plumes and these feathers that come from the eagle have been blessed by our Creator. And so we hold them in high regard. And so the plume belongs to the woman, the feather belongs to the man. That's how we wear them in our hair. Our hair is also special as well too. When I was younger, my grandmother would tell me about the importance of taking care of my hair. And so she would say to keep it fixed. You know, she says it carries a part of our spirit, and you can think of it as like an antenna between us and that spirit world. Our ancestors, they would always wear their hair similar to how mine is today. Parted down the middle to represent balance in life, and then worn into 2 braids. 3 strands in the braid, because when we would see each other a long time ago, that would be a reminder to us that there's 3 parts that make us whole: our mind, our body, and our spirit. And so that was just a physical reminder. A long time ago, our ancestors, they would hardly ever wear their hair out. The only time they would actually do this is if they were in mourning. If they lost a loved one or loved ones and they were having a really difficult time, they would cut their hair a little bit shorter and then they would leave it worn out. And so hair is special. An interesting story is that in the early reservation days, we had some young men who were trackers. They could track anyone and anything. And they were taken to boarding school. They cut their hair really short. And what they found out is they could not track anything anymore. And it wasn't until they grew their hair back that they could have that gift and that ability to track again. And so there's a connection with their hair. Beads, people ask about beadwork, where it comes from, how did we make our beads and such. But in reality, beads aren't traditional to our Lakota culture. In fact, they weren't introduced into our culture until the mid-1800s when settlers came through. They brought the beads from different countries. They traded them with our people for things such as like buffalo robes and elk hides. Prior to that, what we would use is something called quill work. We would take porcupine quills from a porcupine, wash them, dye them with natural dyes from the earth, flatten them, and then sew beautiful designs onto our clothing and items. That's how we would decorate our clothing prior to the beads. This is called a jingle dress. These are called jingles. We used to have to be patient and wait for people who use chewing tobacco like Copenhagen and Skull, and they would save the lids for us. We would roll them into a cone-like shape, and there we had one jingle. Lucky for us, somebody had an entrepreneur spirit, and they made a company just for us that makes jingles. We have about 3 companies today, and now all we have to do is click order online, and FedEx delivers to your front door. So it's a nice shortcut. Last few things, leggings. People ask, why do we wear leggings? Historically, Lakota women were very modest women, so they would use the leggings to cover up their legs below their buckskin dress, but also for practical reasons as well too. Winters can get harsh, grass can grow tall in the summer here in the northern plains, so they would protect their legs. Moccasins, same reason why you have your tennis shoes and sandals on today, to protect your feet. But also there's a spiritual reason as well too. This was shared with me from my father, and he learned this as a little boy when his grandparents were old. They could only speak Lakota, but they taught him about our culture, our ancestors, and our spirituality. As Lakota people, we say that the human race, that we're related to everything that's living. So these moccasins come from a relative that was once alive, a buffalo, a deer, or elk. And so it helps us with that connection when we walk on Mother Earth. You see, Mother Earth, she has this beautiful energy that she gives off. She makes things grow, our plants, our natural medicines, our trees, and she even grows our food for us. Now, she gives us this energy as well too. When we walk on her barefoot, or we have these moccasins on, energy is able to get into the bottom of our feet, and it comes through our body, and it helps us. Modern science says, you know what, there's a truth to this. They call it grounding, but they have technology that can measure this energy that comes from the earth and the benefits that it provides us. Yesterday I experienced some horrible anxiety, took off my shoes, stood in the grass for about 5 minutes. No anxiety, just helps us rebalance and where we're supposed to be, reach that equilibrium with like how nature is. And so, you know, there's indigenous cultures all around the world that have that same belief about the energy from the earth. Last thing, purse. People ask, why do you carry a purse as a traditional dancer or as a jingle dress dancer? Well, historically in Lakota culture, it was a matriarchal society, and our women were seen as very sacred, very special people and important, but they were also very busy as well as women. And so, you know, if they weren't butchering the buffalo or tanning hides, they were making the teepees, making clothing, taking care of children and cooking. And so they would wear a belt around their waist. Off of this belt would hang pouches. On these pouches, each one had a purpose. One to hold your needles, one to hold your sinew, another one to hold your owl, and another knife case to hold your knife. And so this represented that they're always busy taking care of their family, their husband, and their children. So today, this is a modern representation of that, our purse, that we as well take care of our family and our children as well too. So I'm gonna ask my husband to come up. I'd like to ask him to sing a couple songs for me.
All right, song number 2, ladies and gentlemen, is a jingle dress side dance. The jingle dress dance. Check out! the dance floor, and I'm turning that over to my wife for closing remarks.
I want to share why we asked you to get in the circle. You know, there's a Lakota phrase that we say. It's so beautiful, so simple that we put it at the end of our prayers, or sometimes we use it in a prayer all by itself. And what we say in our Lakota language is Midakuye Owase. And what that means is we're all related, we're all connected, because we believe that there's one creator that created everything in this world and in this universe. It doesn't matter the color of our skin, the language we speak, or where we even live in this world, because we come from that one place that makes us relatives, that makes us connected, that makes us one. There's a prophecy made many years ago by an older Lakota man. He says, our sacred hoop of life is broken right now. And that's why our world is the way it is today, when things are happening like they are. But he says one day, there's going to be people coming from many different directions, different colors of skin, different backgrounds. And he says they'll come together and stand in a circle with an open mind and an open heart. And he says, when they do this, the sacred hoop of life will be mended again. And even though we're at Crazy Horse having fun doing the social roundness, this gives me hope, because you look around us, we stand in this circle with that open mind and open heart. We have different backgrounds and teachings, but this gives me hope that maybe one day that these little children that are here, that in our Lakota language we call children Wakaisha, the sacred ones, because of where they just came from recently. And so this gives me hope that maybe someday they can experience a world full of more love, more peace, more acceptance. Our children already know how to do that. It's learned behavior from us. But I want to ask if you can take this message home about the Midakuye Owase and about the sacred hoop of life being mended. Share it with your friends, your family, your neighbors. Because when we do this, we do our part in making our world a better place. It starts right here with this good energy and spreads in many different directions like a ripple effect. On behalf of my family and I want to say Pelamaye, which means thank you for coming and being a part of